What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at PGL Major 2022 Challenger Stage. I've been waiting some time for this. I've been kind of juggling some options in my mind, and you'll hear some of those thoughts in my previous video where I went through my pick'ems for this event, as well as kind of went through some of the possible matchups in the upcoming rounds and my thoughts on who you should pick in this event. In short form, ENS, G2, Astralis, maybe Vitality are some of my favorites, who I think will definitely make it through. I think Outsiders probably makes it through as well, and Liquid probably makes it through as well. And then after that, there's some other teams that have a very decent chance at making it through. But yeah, the most likely ones for me are ENS and G2, and then after that comes like Astralis. So I was looking at also some like Force lineups because they have a really good seed. However, not that confident in them doing that insanely well here. Yeah, ENS. The most likely players I'd want to go for from ENS are Spinks. He's been insane, and 218 grand I think is just too little for him. Madden has been showing some improvement in form. And then Snappy is actually consistently pretty decent for ENS and has some pop-off performances as well. Whereas Diha is maybe taking some worse roles or something, I'm not quite sure, but he's not fragging quite as much as he used to at some stage. And then Hades, even though ENS won like the entire event, had like quote unquote only a 1.1 rating, which is decent, but I don't know, he's not like showing off a crazy form to me. And I don't think he's gonna be like one of the best picks. So he's the second most expensive player on ENS. From G2, I think you could make a case for picking like anyone on the team, especially as Alexi B has gone down to like 172 grand. Of course, he's playing a lot of bad roles, but he also could have individually something to prove here and could have a pretty good performance. I think Jax is always a decent pick because he has like really good aim. Hunter's super smart and makes decisions and is just a player. Monesi and Nico even are also really good options here. Let's just start throwing some players on the board. So Spinks, Maden, Monesi, Alexi, and how much do we have? 198 grand. These are like some of the players I definitely could be picking. Do I want from Astralis? I go like 1x Astralis and 2x G2 ENS. It's a very basic lineup, by the way. If you want to go check the most picked players, it's these three teams, who I also think are going to do the best. But people have apparently a pretty good amount of like confidence in Astralis being like a 2x pick, which I don't really agree with. I think you'd rather go double G2, double ENS, 1x Astralis. And you might rather go with like a Glaive or a Zipex. Probably not Zipex because had a pretty bad dip in form, or is still in a pretty bad dip in form, to be honest. And then Glaive has actually been pretty okay. Farlig's also getting better, and he's playing the AWP, and he's a very cheap AWP. So if I don't go Monesi, I think you go probably with Farlig. I mean, this is a pretty decent looking lineup, for example. Like a very basic, very good lineup, I think. Jax is picked quite a lot. Monesi's picked maybe a bit too much in terms of what I expect. I think Hunter is a bit better. Yeah, I was looking at this as an option as well. Going Nico, Snappy, Jackie, and Glaive. And I don't think this is too bad. The problem is like role-wise, this is kind of a nightmare. You don't have an AWP. At least you have Jax with headshots. Then I guess Snappy, IGL, Nico CT rating or multi, and Spinks CT rating or multi, and then Glaive with something, whatever it may be. Not quite sure. It's an option, but I don't really like it that much. I don't think it's worth it to use that much of your money on Nico. I'd rather put something like this. How much do we have? 204 grand. I mean, this is a decent config lineup if you want to do it. Again, no AWP. But we have like Jackson headshots again, IGL. And then we have 3 players who have like very much better like chance of having good rate. Like we have multi-kill and like multi-kill config, CT rating, Spinks, and then Hunter with like, I don't know what it would be then. Like Butcher, I don't know, something. Modern would have. Modern doesn't have that high of an entry percentage for ends. I do like the idea of going far league though. Quite picked, but I think that's for a reason. Like he's actually had he's having higher rating than that he used. I would just go with the players who I think I really want to pick. It's the Kings Far League. I think Snoppy might be undervalued here. 10 grand less than Modern. Then double ends on this. 27. Yeah, this is the problem with like there's no 200 grand player for G2. If you could go Nico Alexi here, that'd be insane. Alexi the cheapest player in the tournament. Like actually. That's a bit insane. No, actually Rocks, but still pretty close to the cheapest player. No, the only way I go Alexi is probably going Alexi here, and then I can go like Hades. They talk smack about Hades at the start, but I mean another Opera. IGL. Op. One of these guys, and then I mean probably Hades Op, and then Far League with something. Should I give like let's go check Hades' stats actually. I'm not so sure about him. He had 1.0 at RMR, 1.10 at last. Like they've had such great performances. Like this is pretty good, but only 6 maps. I don't care about that much. There's like stand-in here as well. I remember that one. Having like decent performances. He had a lot worse of a spell before. I just think Spinks is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. I think Snoppy. Let's go check out Snoppy. Snoppy was, yeah, 1.9, 0.99. He's, I feel like he's doing better than his prices. I mean, it's true that he is. Like, by how much? Is there a world where we get Hunter Monacy? Not really at all. If you go Spinks, you'd have to go like Hunter Monacy. I don't think so. Seems like wishful thinking. Hunter Jacks thinks and Fire League is what we had earlier. It's a very nice cookie cutter lineup, I think. I don't think I want to go for too high of a risk here. I might go for some risky plays in the next one though. The next stage. I just think these teams are gonna do super well. The prizes are gonna be like who's gonna get through. But not. I don't think there's gonna be any surprise 3-0s really. Then again, you never know. This better. This is probably better. To be quite honest. Or get Hades Alexi instead of Jax and Marden, I guess. I'll go with this. I don't know. Let's check the roles. PGL. Check those later. Hades had higher AWPing percentage. Multi-kill or CT or something else. Players. CT rating could be like plus multi-fragger. It's so close. Players. I guess it goes this way around. And yeah. Yeah, go this way around, and then this is the problematic part here. Line up, and has to be camper, right? There are options, not really. It's a pretty safe one, at least. He's like getting the 2 points all the time. There's no real option except how high is camper for? Is not that much higher for 80s on the outer one. Yeah, no, that's good. That makes sense. I mean, it's not the perfect roles, but I think it's always gonna be about the players and not the roles. This kind of in fantasy in general, really. I think I've kind of converted more towards having the correct players than having the correct roles. And the roles aren't like the worst thing ever. It's like decent roles. Wait, the opening matchups are here. Why are they not here? Okay, they just got added here. I mean, we knew them earlier. They just weren't here for some reason earlier. When I was, I think, making another video, but still. Yeah. P2 liquid. What is KS? Who's the KSD guy? It's Hunter. But I think someone else should have KSD. I think Spinks should have KSD against 9Z, higher chance than P2 versus Liquid. We have to remember that this is best of one again. We should get to use all of them. Just 3-0, 3-0, 3. Oh god. We should get to use all but one at least. Pretty much every time. Or actually every time we get to use all but one, and almost like very rarely do we not get to use one. But fine. If we don't get to use one, that's just good. Alexi B, I mean, Farlake versus HC. Probably not. Flash assist. These are like definitely best of one boosters, I think. Go for that. IHCA. Let's go check map pools even. I'll just quickly check if they play Inferno. Some Inferno, not their best. What about IHC? They probably don't go Inferno. They could go, I don't know. It's just grenade kills are more likely on Inferno. I'll still leave it there. CB has a pretty nice Rambo chance. Let's go for that. Doesn't matter when I use that. This was for him. This is actually, we have really bad headshot players, so we could even use headshot like aimbot here. because we have really bad headshot players. Yeah. As well as like save. We're not gonna save against 9Z, are we? Probably not. What's Hades gonna do against what 9Z? Best of one. I'll just do this. I really don't know what else I should use. I'll just go for the bitskins. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this lineup. I think it's very basic. I think Alexi B is like the biggest question mark, and everyone else, as long as things go as planned, should go pretty well. Alexi B is like the risky pick here, even though he's pretty picked, but I think still there's a lot of risk involved here, but it could pay off. Either way, I hope you enjoy this kind of content. If you do, leave a like and subscribe. I will be posting more videos about the major when the new stages start. So check out my videos, both the one with the pick'ems, where I kind of went through my thoughts. I also went through some of my old fantasies and some of the lineups that I should have picked. Some of the lineups that ended up being the best. And how well I basically did at them. So if you're interested in that, go towards the end of that video. And then I also made my Ego app video where I went through my Ego app fantasy lineup. It's pretty interesting always to make another lineup. I think it's a bit different when it comes to fantasy, and I like that pretty much equally as much as HLTV nowadays. So go check out that video as well. Either way, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and goodbye.